for the Brewery Underground Podcast.
In Nashville's harbor wise, Crockton brews will meet the skies. Stephen Scott, they lead the way. Brewery Underground, night and day. Raise your glass, let's ignite. In this city, we unite. Raise your glass, let's
All right, this is the Brewery Underground Podcast, and we're happy to have everybody here today. Scott, we are in Nashville, Tennessee, but we're going to Rochester, New York.
Yeah.
We're going to talk with a group of folks here. They are all here from the Genesee Brewing Company and Brew House in Rochester.
I bet anybody that recognizes Rochester, New York is going to immediately think about Genesee Brewing Company.
I would think so. Yes.
Yep.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to start with the Brew House master first, and that would be Dean Jones. And Dean, thanks for joining us, man. We had some fun getting on this thing, but here we are.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having us. It's great to be here.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
sticking with us and being patient. We got all worked out. I mean, look at all of us.
We're definitely brewers, not super not efficient.
That's okay.
You guys.
Well, you have a lot of folks here with you today, Dean, and let's just go around the room here and introduce around the horn.
Around the horn. To my right is Matt Flattery. He has been here for 14 years with me. He was the assistant chef for the first probably 10 or 12 years. He's been homebrewing the whole time and decided that he wanted to brew beer and came down and he turned into my assistant about 4 years ago. And he's been stuck with me since. So he's got the beard. He looks like a brewer, so he kind of belongs.
Awesome.
When you walked in the room, I go, God, I hope he's joining us.
So then we got the sexy guy over here in the green shirt. Wow, that could be Paul Constantine, but
That's you, Paul.
it's Carl Falk, who is our general manager. Wave hi, Carl. Yep, there's Carl Falk.
Thanks for having us.
So he's our general manager. And then we've got the two guys down in the next room. We've got Mr. Sam Morquin, who does all of our merch. And I got a nickname for him, but I won't repeat it. And we've got Paul Constantine, who is our standard historian and has everything there is to know about the Genesee Brewery history-wise and everything else. And he's just a wealth of information.
Awesome.
He's also the original merch guide too.
Yeah, he was the original
Yeah.
until Sam
From the
turned
beginning,
gold.
so, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of merch, I don't know if you can see Steve's and my shirt. This is courtesy of you guys, so thank you very much for this. We're all rocking some Genesee stuff today.
Love that. Sam hand selected those for you guys.
Thank you. They're great. And on the back, you can't see, but it says Drink Rochester, too, which is really cool. So, and not to mention, I just poured something. That's what I was doing. I'm reaching over into my cooler. I've got just happened to have some Genesee beer, courtesy of you guys as well. It just showed up yesterday.
Nice. What are you guys pouring first? What's the first one?
All right. So I know this is the orange. Steve's got the official can there. I got the orange.
Orange honey cream ale?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Well, we have that as well. We just cranked ours. We're going to pour some samples.
Yep. Here's mine over here. We've come prepared today, boys. We've come prepared. That's really good.
You guys are surrounded by beer all the time. It's got to be like, I know you work there and it's a job, but you got to appreciate that, don't you? You look around and like, I'm just surrounded by like the greatest thing ever.
Well, that's why I'm 300 pounds. What do you expect? It's one of the few places though where it's acceptable to have a beer with lunch and then go back to work and have it. So it's part of our daily routines.
Yeah.
And what better perk is there than it's Sunday morning? Let's have a beer.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And you guys, like I said, you guys sent us 3 different ones. And of course, here is the Prohibition Blonde Ale right here.
Yeah. Yep.
And got some of that, and I got it in the official Brewery Underground glass right here.
Very good.
Yeah, so thanks for sending those, and thanks for sending them out so quickly too. You guys, I mean, you literally next day aired them to us.
Yeah, well,
Yep.
quality counts, right? I mean, Genesee is known for the affordable beer that just happens to be exceptional quality.
I know it. I know it. And then we got
This
to
thing
also
was in,
talk about the third one here that you also sent, and this is the Pilsner Berryville hops. So there we go, right here.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Berryville, they only make so many pounds of hops every year, so they only made 38 pounds of this hop, and we got it all, and we turned it into a Pilsner. So we're the only one in the state with this beer, which is kind of unique.
that's
Nice.
awesome. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
My earliest memories of Genesee, I'm from Ogdensburg. If anybody knows where Ogdensburg is, Ogdensburg, New York, which is
Wait a minute.
what's that?
My sister lives in Ogdensburg.
Lived in Ogdensburg?
Currently, she's lived there since the 80s.
Oh,
Wow.
You know the Cosmo at all?
Who?
Cosmo? Bill Cosmo is her husband. Mary Kay is her.
I'll ask because I got a ton of relatives, and I'm sure some of them will be listening to this since this is kind of relatively close to where they live. I've not been there. I was there in October for a visit, but I haven't lived there in a long time. But I was literally born there, and I lived in Syracuse for a while, and then before Syracuse, I moved here because the weather up there in the winter I couldn't take it anymore.
It's funny because the rest of the people on this, other than me, probably don't know where Ogdensburg is. It is at the tip of New York State, and it is you go right down to the river, and you go across to to Canada. So, yeah,
I'm 10 minutes away from being Canadian. There's a bridge right there that I could have gone either way. Hey, but my earliest memories of Genesee were my uncles would be drinking it. And it had to be cream ale because I just remembered the green label on it. So it had to be cream ale. And I can just remember walking behind them. You'd leave a little bit in the can or in the whatever in the bottle. And I was under, I'd go by and sample it. And of course, at the time I hated beer, but that's completely changed. But man, I can remember Genesee from my early days.
absolutely. My grandfather, that was the first beer I ever tried in my life. I was 8 years old, and I kept sipping his big 16-ounce heavy returnable bottle of cream ale. And I just kept sipping it. And finally, he just handed me one. He goes, just make it last the rest of the day. So I'd sit there and he'd share one. I'd share one. We'd go out work in the garage. And that was the first beer I ever drank in my life was a cream ale. And here I am.
Oh,
Man.
that's awesome. Yeah.
That's actually a good segue. For the rest of you guys, what was, before you guys started working there, what was your introduction to Genesee? Did you drink it before? What did you know about Genesee as the brand before you guys even started working there?
Me personally, it was the first beer I ever had. We used to, high school time, because I'm that old, it was almost legal at that time. And we used to split 6-packs, and 6-pack of cream ale. Back then, it was like $2. So if you had $1 night, $1, we were going to have a good night.
Yeah, I don't remember what my first beer was, but growing up, I grew up out towards the Albany area, and I remember the Genesee commercials. I remember "Do You Believe in Genesee?" This country band, and some of my best memories are hanging out at my buddy's place, and his dad was putting away the Jennies and watching the Yankee games while he was sipping on his Jennies, and it was kind of my introduction to baseball and beer at the same time.
That's
That's one of my better memories growing up.
Well, it's funny. You could probably say, even though I'm in Nashville, you can probably see my background here. I'm a diehard Reds fan, suffering years because I grew up in Cincinnati, and I can still remember going to Reds games when I was a kid, and the the Hudy Pool commercials and Stroh's, some of those old brands. So you gotta love that kind of thing when you start talking about the history and legacy of different beer brands, and certainly you guys bring that. I mean, there's so much history involved, and each one of you. Growing up in the history of the brand and now working there and having worked there for quite some time has to be pretty cool.
It is a lot of fun. And it's a lot of fun and a lot of pressure, right? There's a lot of historic pressure for us to maintain that Genesee history and that vitality and to make great beers. And, we've always been the affordable great beer, and we need to keep pushing that in the right direction. So,
yeah. Well, the beer styles that we talked about in the beginning that you had sent us and we're trying here on the episode today, I know that they're available right now at your tap room, and I'd love to know, like, that a specific thing that you wanted to send us some of the very popular options right now, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And this was really stemmed from Carl, and we sell Orange Honey Cream Ale through the summer, and it is the one of the biggest beers that we make. And every year, Carl's like, "Can you make that a little earlier? Can you make that a little earlier? I got to get that on. We got to sell that." And so we're on actually batch number 2 of that already this year, making 20 barrels, and we yielded 35 halves, and it just sells out absolutely miraculously every single year. And once it leaves my hand, right, and it goes up to the draft center, and then the kegs come over, I just lose track because we're brewing something new. But Carl's on it every day, and he's like, "Oh," he goes, "top seller." I was like, "Top seller for what?" He gets all the info and everything else, and which is kind of fun. And then Paul and Sam get to unload the beer and bring it in and roll in kegs, and they see what sells more than I do, but it really is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm the pain in the ass. I'm the finance part of it, and this sells. This sells. An Orange Honey Cream Ale is just something that every year people look forward to, and it is a year after year. I know that we'll put it on, and as Dean said, we get 30 to 35 kegs yield each batch that he makes, and I know it's about 3 weeks worth of business was. So when it's going, hearing people going, "Hey, what happened to Orange Honey Cream Ale?" And so then I'm a pain in his ass, and hey, when's the next batch coming?
Yeah, I was gonna say, is there a pressure to have that on tap all year long, or do you just want to continue just to make it special, where people are counting down the days till it comes back out?
There's no pressure from me. There's pressure from that guy over there in green shirt.
But I always remember, I won't name another beer that years ago, a brewery made a seasonal beer, and it did extremely well. And then the next year it did even better. And then the next year they did it year round, and that brand slowly died off. So there's that fine line of driving sales and wanting to profit from that. And the other side of that coin is you've got people wanting to get it. So it's a very fine line. Me, I'm looking at the numbers, and I want the numbers, but I also realize, like you said, making it hard to get sometimes.
Yeah.
It does.
Well, what's interesting is I've made this beer for like 10 years, and it didn't really take off until year 5 or 6. And then every sudden I started getting all these calls. It's like, "When are you going to make this?" I'm like, "When am I going to make what?" And they're like, "Orange Honey Cream Ale." And I was like, "Really? You want that beer?" I've made it for 5 years, and it's like, "Yeah." And it's just slowly just kept growing and growing and growing, and now it's one of our most popular ones. It's crazy.
Why do you think it is popular? Why do you think it's taken off so much?
It's unique because it's a cream ale, right? Everybody has that cream ale thing. Oh, it's a nice little sweet cream ale, which was the base, and then the orange honey mixed in there just kind of jived with it. And so when I initially made it, I was like, "This sounds good. Let's make this." And that's what we did. And it was really good. Like from square one, we actually made it, and we haven't changed it. So, and it's been selling amazingly ever since. So, but it was one batch a year, one batch a year, one batch a year, and then it got to be 2. And it's like, and we actually, Carl, we did 3 last year, didn't we? We did 3 Orange Honey Cream Ale batches last year. So, and we're going to put it in a mix, and especially now as hot as it is, it's definitely selling well. So,
Yeah.
It's a good, the orange and the honey is a good thing to put in that style of beer too. It does lend itself to that style. It's refreshing.
You can taste the cream ale, you can taste the orange, you can taste the honey, and one doesn't stand out from another. And because I'm awful picky when it comes to that, it's got to be balanced. Matt laughs and he goes, "Awful picky." He's like, "No, you're an asshole." And I was like, "Yeah, I am." But I want it to be. I am such a perfectionist that it absolutely has to be perfect, and it's got to be balanced, and it's got to be drinkable. It's got to remind me of cream ale. It's got to remind me of orange and honey, all mixed in there, and that's what we shoot for.
Well, you've got 148 years of quality you've got to maintain, right? Again, that pressure that you've got on you, like, I've got to. There's people that have been drinking this thing their whole lives, not necessarily the honey, but Genesee. And you're like,
Yeah.
you've got to maintain that.
Definitely a vanguard of brewing tradition that we need to uphold.
And to a point, it's an homage to two of our legacy brands for the brewery as well. You guys know about Genesee Cream Ale, as everyone does. And, we are the Cream Ale brewery. But Honey Brown, which in the 90s, if you remember JW Dundee Honey Brown, it kind of changed the course of the beer industry.
Yeah.
So, Dean was kind of taking those two, combine them, and put his own twist on it. And thank God he did.
Was that always your brand, by the way? That the Honey Brown, was that always Genesee's, or did you guys acquire that?
Paul can speak most to that.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, Honey Brown in the early '90s, the brewery started to expand its portfolio, and come back and go into different styles. The craft beer movement was starting to go mainstream, and Genesee. They started off with an IPA and an amber lager. But Honey Brown blew up. I remember talking to some of the people around back then, and some of the stories about finding the right honey for it and all this stuff. But it took off, and it's endured. It's still, we still carry it here. It's still one of the linchpins of the brewery, and the one that's hung on since that era. And by the way, the Dundee line, those beers were. I was talking to Carl about this the other day. Those beers were spot on. I mean, the brewery, they were great exemplars of the style. Kolsch was, it was spot on for something you'd get from Cologne. It was there was an Irish red. There was their Oktoberfest was a really rich Martzen. They did a nice job. The Dundee line was great.
Well, it's interesting. The honey is from Dundee, New York. So that's where the Dundee originally came from.
That's
and
great.
then JW, who I used to work for, Jonathan Whaley, that's where the JW came from.
When I look at your tap list at your brew house, and you have 14 right now that I see on your tap list, and all of them look like great summer beers. We won't go through the whole list. We've talked about a few of them, but I'm really curious to, maybe this is for the entire group. How specific do you all feel like you need to be as far as like these have to be core summer beers? Is there a lot of discussion about that, of when you put those out, that way people can expect them, but also your expectations as well?
Well, there's a lot of input from everyone.
That's his way of telling us to shut up, by the way.
No, and Sam comes down and goes up. His wife, we're bartenders upstairs now. He goes up, has a beer, and says, "Hey, I like this. Make this again." And I was like, "Okay." Paul comes in and says, "Oh, that IPA was great. Make this again." "Okay, I'll throw that on." Carl comes in, "Don't do that. Make it this way." "Okay, great." And then we all get together and just have fun and make beer. And then Matt will come in and go, "What are we doing? What's on today's agenda?" So,
I think too, it's important, our location, right? And Scott, you mentioned the winters. The seasons really mean something around here. So, if I went to Dean this time of year and say, you need to have a porter on, he'd look at me like I lost my mind, which isn't a big loss, but definitely. So we do try to tailor it to the seasons, because the seasons are so significant. If it was a year round, we lived in San Diego, we just make beer whenever. It doesn't matter. So, here it's a lighter, more drinkable, because we're more active in the winter. We want that. But obviously, as we tend towards fall, it's going to change a little.
We're that way as beer consumers. Like, we like the seasons. We get a little bit of the seasons here. It's mostly hot, but we do get some seasons. But just to your point, porters and stouts in the summer, we like it when it's a little colder for those, typically, and we like for that season to turn, even if it's just what they call the season, all right. Even if it's winter and it's December here and it's 75 degrees, it's still the season. You know what I mean? So
it is, yeah. Yeah, Scott and I were hanging out last night, when we exchanged the beer and stuff like that. And there was a brewery we were at, and I was like, oh, yeah, I'm glad they got a Kolsch, and it's a good time of the year. It's 90 something degrees out here, and, a great tasting Kolsch. And you guys got one too right now on your tap menu. So it's always good to see that when breweries are doing those type of things and keeping up with, what is the demand for the seasonal things.
Well, what's interesting is we're in August, right? Guess
Yeah.
what I'm thinking? I'm thinking October.
Of course
Right.
you are.
Because I am 3 months, 6 months down the road, 6 months ahead of time, everything, because I'm planning for stuff. And then Carl comes in. It's like, oh, we need to make this, and I was like, okay, great, that's for next year. Great idea, but this year isn't going to fit. We're doing this and this and this and this and this, and then I'll get the look of disapproval, and then we'll keep going, because we're really 30 and 60 days behind. If I make lagers, there's 60 days to make, and we do it traditionally, and
Sure.
takes time to make. So,
And when you do that, you can only make so much. You can't predict how much is going to sell. You probably have a map, right? The previous, what sold before, but you kind of have to base it on that, because you're like, oh, why don't you make more Oktoberfest? Well, shit, I can only make so much.
Yeah. Well, we actually talked about a stout, and I did an oatmeal stout, and it was just incredible, but it took forever to sell. But everybody that drank it absolutely loved it, and I was like, I'm not making that again. It took 90 days to sell, and Carl's looking at beer going out the door in 3 weeks, and we're out, and it's not a big seller, so we don't make it. But would I like to make it? Sure, absolutely. But it is what it is.
Right. I want to talk about something. I'm going to jump around on you a little bit, but there was something I saw. First of all, you were talking about the ads from a while ago. I saw one the other day on YouTube, and I remembered watching it when it was aired, probably back in the 80s. And it was this guy's on the elevator, and all these hot chicks. It's a Jenny commercial, and all these hot chicks come in. I don't know if you know this commercial, and he's happy, and then they leave, and then he turns around and like, the opposite comes in afterwards. Do you remember this commercial?
I'm guessing it's Boy, Can I Go for a Jenny Now? Is it?
That was it. That's
Where you were
exactly
going?
what
Yes,
it is.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah. As they were coming in, he was like, boy, can I go for a Jenny Now kind of thing. That's what it was.
That actually was a great ad campaign. And Paul had a bunch of those old commercials restored. And we play them here at the brew house. Not all of them, because, time has changed our views on some things. So,
Yeah.
but a couple of them I played. A guy blows up the wrong building. You remember that? He was like a demolition guy, and he presses the button, the building goes down, and boy, can I go for 10.
You guys, and I couldn't find them. I was looking, they might be on there on YouTube, but the Miss Jenny was a big marketing thing for you guys for like 10 years, right? And I'm trying to think. I remembered watching one. I ended up there, and I couldn't remember, and I couldn't find them on YouTube. But can you talk about that campaign? Because I think it lasted 10 years, and I'm sure it was very successful.
Yeah, it was. Jenny was the focus of the brewery's advertising, 1952 to 62. Yeah, right around 10 years. You're right. And it was the brainchild of Robert Duffy and Robert Whaley and Patrick Duffy, who were, I think they were cousins, but Duffy was head of merchandising, and Whaley he and his brother rotated between secretary and president of the brewery under their father. But at any rate, the original Jenny girl was a young lady named Daphne Doré, who's they found her in New York. She was a Rheingold girl at first, and she had just the right look that they were, I guess they were looking for. She had a little bit of an accent that made her a little bit unique. And yeah, she was the focal point of the advertisement for a long, long time. It was kind of cool. Yeah, a few years back, I want to say 2 or 3 years ago, her nieces were here, and I guess Daphne had been like a second mom to these ladies, and they got to look around, see some of the some of the memorabilia, and it was really sweet. They were it was a nice visit. They were taught. It was just really nice. It was kind of nostalgic for them, and yeah, I could see that the affinity they have for Daphne. But yeah, she was the face of the brewery for a good part of the heyday there, and the characters come and gone over the years. Different people have played the roles at events and things like that. But yeah, definitely an enduring image that's associated with the brewery is Jenny. Yeah, I'm sure.
And Sam actually has got a lot of recent merch that has Jenny Girl on it.
Yeah,
A lot of
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I find that if you bring it back, anything you do with the Jenny Girl sells really, really well. People love it. They love the iconic Jenny Girl.
Do you redesign something with that, with let's take an old image and do that, or just kind of bring back what was?
When it comes to stuff like that, I try to leave it original. I don't want to redesign that. I think people like the original one.
Like, I'm looking around at all of us. Everybody's got a different. Steve, I got the same shirt. Everybody's got a different Jenny shirt. You must. You must be like really creative and like constantly coming up with new stuff. I can't even imagine what overall over the years how many different Jenny things are. Whether it's shirts and hats and probably. You probably stuck them in lunch boxes. Well, maybe not lunch boxes.
Lunch boxes.
We do have lunch boxes.
Okay.
Oh, gonna get one of those.
They're for the workers, so not
Yeah.
for the kids.
That's
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
My first
I
thought was
tell
like the little middle ones, but
I tell everyone I think I got the greatest gig at the brew house. You know, I get to, spend money and make people happy. We, as you know, we're a destination spot. People come to Rochester, they want to come visit the oldest brewery in New York State. And once we got him here, I tell Carl, these guys, once you bring him in the building, I'll engage him. I'll sell him something. We have something for everyone. Our merchandise program has become a huge part of the Genesee experience. We don't want to just sell you a product. We want to sell you memory. We want to sell you brand pride. So we're really careful with things that we do. We want to keep the originality of it, but we also want to introduce new things. We look out there. I look at what other breweries are doing. Since I started working here 3 years ago, I've visited a lot of breweries throughout the country. My wife kind of makes fun of me because she says when I do something, I go 120% into it. But I just want to see what everybody else is doing out there. I want to see what Miller's doing, what Anheuser-Busch is doing, and stuff like that. And it gives me great ideas. Plus, we listen to what our customers want. We give them what they want. They'll tell you what they're looking for, and we make it happen.
You talked about being a destination brewery. Do you guys really keep track about how many people are coming in a year, like yearly? Just to check out the history of your place, the brew house. I mean, is that something that you all pay that much attention to?
To an extent, we do. We more track it for events. One
Yeah.
of our big events is our keg tree celebration, which
Yes.
happens first Friday night in every December. And here's another weather reference. You think of Rochester, New York on a Friday night in December. You're not thinking like shorts and t-shirts and drinking cold beer. You're thinking of we got gloves, we got hats, and we're drinking really cold beer. So it's kind of a cool thing. And what we did a couple of years ago was set up a map of the country, and we had pins that stuck in as to where people came from for the event, and it was wild to see. We get about 5,000 people that night to come to the brewery and the brew house and out in the parking lot. We have beer trucks, we have food trucks, and it's just a great time. And it's a 680 pegs mated to a Christmas tree. Who wouldn't have a good time?
yeah.
Can
Yeah,
you describe? Sorry. Can you describe what is the holiday keg tree lighting for everybody? Because I've seen pictures of it. It looks pretty wild.
It's a whole bunch of beer kegs tied together in circles. And if you think of like circles on top of circles made into a tree, it is about 3 stories high at this point. Yeah. Every 5 years, I've been told I could go another row higher. So at this point, it's about 3 stories high. We light it, being the master of ceremonies every year, lighting at 7 o'clock at night. And again, this is the first weekend in December. And our keg tree last year, we had about 5,000 people, and actually named the best Christmas tree in the country by Newsweek magazine. So that was a pretty cool thing.
You beat out that one in New York City, huh?
Oh, we get that thing.
Yeah, I'd love to hear what kind of a day is that? Do you all of you attend that? Is that like one of the biggest events? I mean, all of you are there for this event every year, right?
Starting at 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
It's a long day.
Yeah.
I'd like to
those-
see somebody have the guts to come in and ask for that day off. I wouldn't go. Yeah, it's a long process getting set. We're lucky enough that our partners next door, the laborers will come over and actually build the tree, and they've got it down to science after all these years where they're able to build it. We've got just such a great community of people working on this and that. And that night, we get a bunch of people to come here, have a few beers, and have a great time. And it kicks off, honestly, in my opinion, and I'm clearly biased, it kicks off the holiday season in Rochester.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's fantastic. And in that part of the country, it's cold. Like you said, people are prepared for it. They know life has to slow down because it gets cold and snowy there. You just go through it. You just do it. Right? It's part of life.
Put a better coat on. That's all.
That's right. You get your hat, scarf, whatever you need.
Well, like one of those things, of course, Scott, if you live up there, you're already used to the cold weather anyway. So you're like, what the heck? It's already cold out anyway. It doesn't really matter. We got beer. We got the beer kegs.
Well, Scott, we don't want you to come prepared. We want you to come unprepared so we can sell you more stuff.
I'll come up with a whole new wardrobe. I'll have Jenny on it. Tennessee. Some form.
About 6 years ago, we kept rotating beers for keg tree lighting, and we fell onto this cinnamon cream ale, right? Another, like Carl mentioned, back to our base beer, and I made this really like Baker's cinnamon cream ale, which was just really good, and it took off. We've been making it now 5 years. 5 years or 6 years?
Oh, yeah.
5 years now. We've been, and every time. And we keep making it. That's the only time I make it is keg tree lighting, and it's registered as cinnamon cream ale, keg tree ale, and we get to put that out, and it sells really, really fast, and we have it for I don't know, now Apollo probably 2 or 3 weeks because it's gone.
Maybe 3 weeks. Half of it that night. Yeah, at least half of it goes that night. It goes fast.
It's a lot of fun. I think the most people we ever had was about 8,500.
Wow.
For a pack everybody.
That's
and they're
good.
on our website, and and as it's gone on, it's slowed down a little bit more and more, but then it picks back up when we made the best Christmas tree in the country, that ended. So
And that's the situation too, where you guys probably see the same people. Sometimes they're back again. They're lined up for this. It's an annual event.
People come from throughout the state for this event. They come, people from our area. It's a must-do on their list, and it's so great because, knock on wood, everyone's in a good mood that night.
Yeah,
everyone's having fun. It's the holiday season kickoff. You're going to an event. Everyone's dressed warm. Nobody cares about the weather.
not at all.
It's last year and windy, and everyone just had a great time and had a bunch of beer and looked at a bunch of kegs lit up like a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
It's also interesting. It's an experience, and and all of us put this all together. Like I make the beer. Sam makes spectacular merch. I mean, we've got little keg tree emblems. We've got that go on Christmas trees. We've got T-shirts. I don't know, Sam. What else we got? I mean,
we got snow gloves. We got shirts. We got gloves. We got hats. We got everything. Scarves. You name it, we have it.
Yeah, it's just and whenever keg tree comes out, I'm like, oh, well, and every year I buy it. I buy another ornament, and hang it on my tree. My whole Christmas tree is covered in Jennings stuff, thanks to Sam. So, which is interesting. Well, that drives everybody crazy that whole time. So it's great. We all have a great time. It really makes that perfect experience when you come in and you can come to a brewery, and it's all family friendly, and the food trucks that Carl and Paul and everybody design and they bring in all have a different medium, and there's a coffee guy that comes, and it's really just an overall experience that once you attend it, everybody comes back year after year after year. It'd be remiss if we didn't mention that last year we partnered with a local donut shop, and Dean and the baker from the donut shop got together, and they made a donut. It was our cinnamon cream ale. And
yeah,
that was tight. It was, as a fat guy, it was one of the best donuts I've ever had. Really.
Have you guys ever done, and I only learned about this last year, I think Steve and I both learned about it at the same time, poking the beer? Have you guys ever done that because of the weather up there?
The thing with that's metal, and you put it in the beer and it foams up a little? No, we have not.
Well,
I I'm doing open fire and waiting to do it in the wintertime, but
Matt, we're going to task you with that. You're going to take the lead on that one.
it makes it caramelizes the beer what's inside of the pipeline.
Yeah.
I haven't done it yet. It's on my list to do, but
I haven't experienced it yet, but I did buy one of those pokers. So you just heat the end up really hot, and then it keeps the beer cool, and it warms it up on top, like you said. It kind of caramelizes it and stuff. And I don't know if you guys had come across that yet.
Not my beer. I'll drink it the way it's probably intended. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Oh,
You don't
man.
want to be out there handing hot pokers to customers?
People like, yeah, we got time.
Yeah.
It's time to start ordering some hot poker.
yeah.
We'll come up with the Jenny branded hot poker.
That'll be on the shelves tomorrow, folks. I want to go back to the turnout you guys got for the kegs. 5,000 people, 8,500 people. Dude, you guys are entrenched in the community. The community is out supporting you. It's not just another event. That is a community thing, right? People, you guys have been around almost 150 years. The brand is there. People know the brand, know the beer. But that is the locals coming out. I'm sure there's a lot of people coming in, but isn't it? I mean, that's an event.
There's a lot of local pride in our brewery, and we're lucky enough to be part of it, obviously. But that event has become part of our city and part of what we do as a city. And, we saw it last year. It's a vote. We don't have that many people working here who can sway a vote to win a national thing like that. So that was our community supporting us. So for us to welcome them into our yard and get them having our beers and, celebrating, it really is. It's a big source of pride, not only for us, but all of Rochester.
Yeah, it's great to see that and just to hear about it, because it's like people just coming out for you guys and, just being a part of it. So something else, I mentioned YouTube earlier, and I didn't realize that happened until just a couple of days ago. I was looking at some videos. In 2017, you guys had a $50 million expansion, and you bought some tanks out of Albany, 12 tanks with big fermentation tanks, I guess. And they were transported through the Erie Canal lock system from Albany to Rochester. It took like a month. And there's videos online about it. It was cool to see. And they had drone videos and stuff. And people were literally standing when they would come through the locks or down the river, whatever, and kind of watching this thing. That was cool to see. And can you guys talk about that a little bit? You guys, some of you guys were around for that.
Yeah, that's all from the guys in the main brewery that ordered the tanks. And it was interesting because that was the most inexpensive way to ship them, believe it or not. And it was crazy, right, to get those tanks that were floating and then be able to pull those in and then erect them here at the brewery. And it was amazing. Toasted tanks was crazy. We ran with pictures and videos, and everybody lives in different directions. Like I live out at Hilton, and everybody else around Fairport and everywhere else. So everyone was at all these places watching this. And everybody was in awe, and they're going, "Look at the size of those tanks! That's crazy!" And
Yeah.
and they were, to us, they're small, right? I mean, they were one of the smaller versions, of the fermentation tanks. But to get everybody behind us, and like as the community throughout, I mean, everywhere. I live out in Hilton and Fairport and wherever else, and we don't live down where Carl lives, where the snotty people live, and live in the city, man. Yeah, but, it's interesting to have all those people that were so excited that they would come out to see a beer tank float down the Erie Canal, and some of the feedback that we got from that has been amazing. I'm sure Paul sees people that come in. Oh, I remember when the tanks came down, and a lot of the visitors come in and they remember those tanks coming through, and then they come to the brewery and they talk about it, and really, really a lot of fun.
Well, it's cool what you said, that you all are a destination brewery, not just for people out of town, but live there. You're entrenched in the community. And something I'm really curious about, and again, I mean, I think this could be a good conversation for all of you, but you have your core beers, which have been there since the beginning. And then you have the newer beers as well, some of the craft beer options. What's the balance on that? I would love to know, like, how much planning and how much discussion goes into that.
Carl's got an opinion, and I have an opinion. There, we should go around the horn because, to be honest, I make what I want to make. Everything just, I want to make this, I want to make that. And I like to take existing beers like the cream ale and throw a twist to them. We do a Laura cream ale, Mosaic cream ale. We do all these different flavors and characters of beer, cinnamon cream ale, whatever. And we rotate these through the years. Craft beer here didn't start until I got here when we opened the brew house. When we started making real craft beer. I mean, they had introductory, Dundee Honey Brown, and that was like the first craft beer ever. But we really didn't start making real craft beer until the brew house opened. So, again, I get input from Carl, I get input from Sam, I get input from Paul, I get input from Matt, and it's like, hey, let's make this, let's make this. And I like to take those beers and make fun stuff. And I'm going to let you in on a little secret, but this is just between me and you.
Okay.
I can't go anywhere else. I'm making hot honey brown. Think
All
about
right.
that for a minute. Right? Mike's hot honey, but honey brown.
Sure.
And it's fabulous. And, I've had that going for about a year, and, and Carl's tasted it and he loves it. Everybody else tried it and they're like, oh my God, this is so great. So, and we're always doing stuff like this, and Paul comes in and Paul's like, you're going to make my favorite IPA. I'm like, yep. IPAs are not my favorite, right? I'm not an IPA guy, but I make it because Paul likes it and he's in touch with customers, and, Sam's at the bar drinking and tells me, oh, this is really good. I like this hop and it's fun. And I don't know. So really is a huge collaboration effort.
Well, and Dean, you're not the first brewer, by the way, to tell us that you don't like IPAs. We've had multiple people that we've interviewed on this podcast, and we've met and things like that say, I'm not an IPA person, and that's okay. But I think it's great that you guys you see that we're not going to alienate the folks that have been drinking our core beers for decades. But you also have to evolve, because that's just the way it is. That's just the nature of the business.
Do you want to know how many times I heard from Paul and Carl? We got to have an IPA. And I'm like, what do you got to have an IPA? And I'm tooth or nail. I'm going, I don't want to make one now. And he goes, it's the best-selling beer, and I make it. Carl comes down, Paul comes down, he goes, oh my God, we sold out 10 kegs in 5 days. And I was like, oh Lord. All right, I keep drinking it.
Gotta have more.
Wow, we had test batches, test IPA number 1. And I think, Paul, it was test batch 11?
11.
That we stuck on test batch 11. And so we actually coined the name. And so we do test batch 11 IPA. And everybody's like, oh, I remember that one. And keep selling. So
you made it too well, Dean. That was a problem. You made it too well to start with.
Well, but
Hey,
everything,
Scott.
it's got to be balanced. It's got to have flavor. It's got to have character. It's got to have the alcohol perfect. And everything is super balanced that I make. Matt points it out to me. I've spoiled him rotten because he goes other places and the beers aren't as balanced. And they're like, wow, that's just way too hoppy. And it's got no flavor, no character, and no body. And I look at every last little tiny aspect of that beer when I make it. And it's like, oh, I'm going to add this. And I'm constantly tweaking it. Carl will come up and, and his palate is okay. It's really good. But he comes up and he goes, oh, I like this one. This was great. And he points out subtle little differences that he tastes. And Paul just sits there and I see him walk out with crowlers. He goes, this batch is good. You got to smile. I think Sam all he does is drink. So he just sits there at the bar and drinks beer, hangs out with his wife while he's working, and has a good time.
Hey, Scott, I found this on my phone. I don't know if you can see it. You see that picture?
Yeah.
Those are the tanks coming down the canal.
Yes. Okay.
Oh, nice.
And for the size of, I think it only fit like 3 in each container that was coming down. So you had to have, yeah, it's crazy. And I'm watching this thing going down the river right, and that thing, like, it's not moving real fast. Hence the month to get there.
Yeah. It's funny. You talked about the balance with our legacy brands, and for me, I have to look at the whole picture of the brew house. And we have people come in. We all talked about it at the beginning of our show. Where the Genesee get you started on the road, and that's the legacy brands. But a lot of people, that's when you start with your beers, especially people of an older generation, because we didn't have an IPA or we didn't have
a blonde ale or something to go on to. So that's where the journey started. And, for us, we sell that as a memory. Yeah, I haven't had this beer in 30 years. And, that's the memory. Or if you're a beer person, Dean's got a bunch of his beers that people can get a flight of and enjoy and, talk about the different styles and tastes and all that. So it's really kind of a fun balance. And let me tell you, if you want to have a time, come with me sometime when you go to talk to Dean and tell him, we got to brew this. And he goes, oh, no, we're not brewing that. And I brew it, right? Yeah, but we got to play the hits.
Well, yeah. And Dean, I know you said you love doing what you do. Sometimes you're just like, this is what I want to do. Do you guys, because you're an established brewery and because you're entrenched, do you guys look at the trends as much as maybe some breweries that not been around for a while?
I don't. I mean, I do, but I don't. Like, I read stupid stuff like Bon Appetit magazine and all these other things for flavor. Where I designed the salted caramel chocolate porter, which turned out to be the #1 selling beer in Wegmans for like 3 years in a row. And people still remember. It's like, oh my God, are you going to make that again? Well, until vanilla went to $3,000 a gallon, we don't make it anymore. But it's just crazy. So some of that stuff was pertinent, and some of it wasn't. But it was just something I wanted to develop that was fun. I saw the ad in Bon Appetit about making salted caramel chocolate porter, and it was fun. And and we just turned it on and let it flow. So, but usually, I mean, we're Genesee, and I'm going to ask you guys now. All right, Steve and Scott, what do you think of when you think of Genesee beer?
The first thing that comes to mind is the cream ale, ale, and then Jenny Light. Like those two, right? Because that's kind of what I'm familiar with. Those two, and again I remember, and I just know it's an old brand because I was around it. Too, like those come to mind for me right out of the gate.
Yep, and and that's what the Genesee Brew House is all about. We're taking Genesee beer, everything, the tour, the history, the food we design, everything is one big, huge package about how to support our beer community and our city to connect with Genesee. And that's our whole entire purpose in life.
Well, and it also seems to me like you're building on tradition and you're building other traditions now.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, it's like with a twist. Carl's got a point. Go ahead, Carl. That's exactly it. Because our tradition and our history, look, as old as I am, I'm still not old enough to have been around 170 years. So
we weren't going to ask that, by the way.
But we have that history to build on, and again, you guys said it. What do you think of when you think of Genesee Cream Ale? That is our history. That is our legacy. We at the Brew House, we got a master brewer who's capable of things. If he only made cream ale, it's a waste of his talent. So for him to not only take cream ale and turn it into different things, his Helles Lager 2 years ago was the best beer in New York State. His chocolate Scotch ale medals almost every year in New York State and won a national contest. World Beer Cup 10 years ago. World Beer Cup. We won gold medal. We have this great history, and we definitely stay true to that. But because of Dean and the way he goes about it, there are other things that we do that are completely unrelated to that history, which are not a history or a legacy of their own. The chocolate Scotch ale, particularly, that used to be kind of, we'll put it down at the holidays, so we have it through Christmas and into Valentine's Day, And now we basically have it year round because it has won so often and people love it. So, we have a lot of history, but we're still looking to create that new history as well.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the demographic has changed because of exactly what you just said, because of those newer beers, and you're kind of changing? Younger people are coming in because of those new styles and whatnot?
Yeah, actually, I don't want to be the only one talking, but I want to give credit here. That's where Sam and what he's done with the retail shop has really, really helped us change. Since the Brew House has been established, we've had a younger group of people coming in. Jenny used to be the old man's beer. Well, now it's a community beer. But because of what Sam's done, and you guys are wearing his shirts, we're doing Jenny gears full around here. And that's a whole different way that the brewery is being able to be marketed. And, I give Sam a ton of credit in that respect.
It's
Yeah,
a,
and
it's a
yep.
cool feeling to watch people walk in the shop and be amazed by the size of the shop, first of all, and the amount of product we have in there, and just to hear them like, oh my God, this place is amazing. It's just it's a good feeling. It's also a really good feeling to go out in public. And I go to concerts, I go to shows, I go to different places, and you see the shirts. And my wife makes fun of me. She's like, "Hey, that's my shirt. Hey, that's my shirt. Hey, that's my shirt." But it's so cool to watch people wear it. Our goal is simple. When somebody visits the brew house, we want them to leave with more than just a great beer. We want them to leave, with a piece of the Genesee Brewery.
And not only that, you guys have a restaurant too at the brew house. It's not just beer. You've expanded on the brewery experience for people coming in. You can get some great food, and there's a beer garden. Can you all talk a little bit more about that as well?
Well, the food's been, ongoing, not really a struggle, but getting up and running where trying to still keep that theme of Gen what would you see when you come in? So it's usually I want to say a burger joint, some good sausages to that and platters, and it's kind of neat at first, but all we did was chips for the longest time in the years until we got the okay to do French fries, and it just kind of blew up. And it's neat how where it's going. And we do things up in the beer garden here and there. We've done events out there. We've done some cookings in the past, which is kind of neat. So it's neat how it's growing and expanding.
Yeah, the restaurant is evolved as well. It's when the brew house was originally built, it was going to be a sandwich shop for the people that work at the brewery next door. And now it's become one of the busiest restaurants in the Rochester market. And, we continue to grow. And one of our big things is either making food products with our beer or pairing them with the beer, because it's a package. When you come to the brew house, you want to have a meal and you want to have a beer, do them together. So it's kind of been a great thing. And, as far as the beer garden, we do music out there in the summer. We just put some sunshades up there. So it's real nice. Adirondack chairs. We have political things out there. We have bands. We have all sorts of meetings. We do our Oktoberfest party out there. We have a lot of events that go on in the beer garden. It's a cool spot.
We do a couple beers for out in the market. Amerks Amber, which supports at the Blue Cross Arena for the Amerks, and then we do watch parties here that they come in, and we set up a gigantic TV screen in the beer garden and put up all the Adirondack chairs, and people hang out and watch that and really have a good time. And it really is really, really interesting. And our beer garden hasn't been used a lot, but now that we've got the sunshades and you've got somewhere to sit where you're not baking on asphalt and everything else, that was some of Carl's renovations that when he took over, he's like, we got to use that beer garden. That's butts in the seats. And it's like, yep. So it's like, yep. And that's, it's been a nice change to see that. And I go out there now and people are drinking beer outside. Sam put in little misters that go on the wall. So when it's hot, they automatically turn on and they mist. And I was like, oh, this is great. I can't wait to go out there. And people just love sitting out there. And Sam does 99% of the work out there. He's always updating the flowers and, you've got kegs that are filled with flowers out there. And he's always updating all this fun stuff. And I like to just mess with him when he's out there power washing at 7 a.m. and doing all this fun stuff.
I'm not just the merch guy.
He's not just the merch
He wears
guy.
a lot of hats. It makes you real valuable, Sam. Hey, I want to ask about the logo. And Dean, you're wearing the one that I kind of remember it the most. I think it's kind of maybe the most iconic. But has that logo, like that one, and I guess even the one on these shirts, has that logo really changed much over the years? I just remember it's always kind of been oval. Has it kind of been the same with the year? Has it evolved a little bit? I know it's a different colors and whatnot.
That's going to be a Paul Constantine question.
Yeah, there've always been kind of tweaks to the look, to the brand. I think mostly it's just to keep it fresh, keep it, every few years there's a little bit of rebranding, but I think for the most part it sticks. It doesn't stray too far from the iconic look, the iconic red eye and the cream ale oval, but yeah, they'll tweak it here and there, freshen it up. It's gone through its evolutions through the years. Yeah.
But it's always recognizable.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. Yeah. You want to, you still know it's Genesee. It doesn't stray, we don't stray too far from from that classic look, that vintage look that everybody, remembers and recognizes.
Right. And we've talked to people how important, branding is, and, in your can art and whatnot. And, you can walk into a place and, search a wall, like, boom, I know that's Genesee over there, right? I could just spot it a mile away.
Yeah. Who would
Right
not be
now.
able to spot this?
There you go. Retro is huge right now. Everything, is retro. Sam's done a ton of clothing, but we are a legacy brand and nationally. So, for us to stray far from that as a logo would make no sense when people are going back to, what Dean's wearing and things like that as the remembrance. So, the most recent redesign of the logo kind of is going backwards, if you will.
You guys are going to be 150 years old. Not you guys specifically. You guys are far from that, but
Combined, maybe.
I'm pretty close.
but the brewery in 2028 is going to be 150 years old. And I know it's still 2 years out, but you guys have got to already be thinking about that. How are you going to celebrate? Dean, Matt, you guys thinking about something you're going to brew for that already?
We take all our leads from Carl because he's running the show. So it's like whatever they want to together, we'll all actually get together and have a meeting and talk about what beer we're going to make and kind of go from there. So, but Carl's got thoughts already. We've been talking about here and there, and who knows. So I mean, we're always coming up with something fun.
There will definitely be a huge celebration to commemorate that. I mean, you think about 150 years of anything. It's pretty wild, that they have, go back and pause the historian, but to have made it through Prohibition and all the other things that the brewery itself has gone through. We absolutely are going to have a huge, it'll probably be a week-long event that we will just have every night of the week, something in the parking lot signifying. And, there's already discussions about it, bringing beers back from the past, which Dean has done some of anyway, made, his version of our old legacy brands like Pipe and Drum and Michael Shea's, different things like that. So yeah, we're looking forward to that. It's a great opportunity for us to reintroduce ourselves as a brewery, and here at the Brew House, we'll be the hub of that party, I guarantee.
Well, it's really cool on Genesee.com, your website, where you have the story. And as you said, I mean, there's so much about the history, and it's almost incredible that Prohibition and it shut things down, but the brand came back after Prohibition. It's a pretty hard thing to do.
Yeah,
Well-
they came out of Prohibition. They called it the beer you didn't forget, I think was the tagline. It came out with Genesee beer and Old Stratford Ale, which was the ale they did before Prohibition. And, less than a year after the brewery reopened, 12 Horse came out. And it was actually the first new beer, and another icon around here, 12 Horse Ale. And, people ask for it all the time. It's released seasonally, but we always have it on draft here. And people love it. People ask for it all the time.
On that timeline or something in 1933, and maybe you all can speak to this because I think it's really cool. You've got a proprietary yeast ale that you use, and maybe people weren't supposed to know that. I'm sorry if I gave out any secrets, but it came from England in 1933, and it's something you guys still use, right? I mean, I got so many questions about that, but it's obviously part of your identity. But is that part of maybe the Genesee flavor?
Absolutely.
I mean,
that particular brand of yeast, which I won't tell you about, but it really produces a lot of these unique kind of esters in the profile, which gives it Jenny that flavor and that character. And it's been absolutely amazing, and that's what makes 12 Horse Ale and all these other things that are fabulous to the Genesee Brewery. And it's everything, right? I mean, there's a billion little things going on in a beer, right? And if you screw one of them up, you've changed the beer. And I can pick out those characters and those flavors. And when you change the yeast, and I've done it, when you change the yeast, it's not good, right? So you got to stick with what works.
The old tried and true, right?
Oh, absolutely. And we actually have it in suspension. The original sample, they actually will pull one cell out and then propagate it up for us. So we're never, ever, ever going to run out of yeast. I mean, they have, I think they have a gallon of yeast from way back in the day, and they pull one cell out, propagate it up, and deliver us fresh yeast we run about 12 different generations before we sewer it and start over.
Wow.
Right.
So the yeast probably has the best life ever, right? You got to make sure that thing's taken care of. And
Absolutely.
yeah, I mentioned you guys being around almost 150 years now. Give us some of the reasons you think you guys have survived, not even survived, but just been around so long. The community obviously is a big part of it. The beer. Give us some other examples why you think you've been around so long.
Personally, I think, I mean, the beer was a down to earth scenario, right? I mean, this was not a pompous brewery. We weren't trying to be anybody that we're not. We're very affordable, and it's great flavor and high quality at a non-expensive price. So if you look at all of those avenues from the 30s on until Cream Ale hit in the 60s, that's a long time of people following that character. And that's what we've been to a lot of people. And that's what it's meant is like we're affordable. And you can come in, you can get a 6-pack, you can come in and get a case, and it's not going to break your wallet. And it's super high quality beer. And that's what I try to keep obtaining, is that it's super high quality beer, and we're not highly priced. And we're a beer for everybody.
Yeah, I think too, one of the things, it goes to our community. I mean, we don't survive 150 years without the support of the community. And that's one of the great things about the city of Rochester. The size of the city, it's a big city that's actually a very small community. And, we support our own. We are all about supporting our own. And through the years, Genesee has been the beer of Rochester. And this beer market's an extremely unique beer market because it was a huge Canadian market because of our proximity to Canada. We, of course, had our local Genesee, but it was also one of the biggest craft brew markets in the country. We were number 7 a couple of years ago in the country for a craft brewery. So it's a very unique market, but fortunately, our community has supported Genesee through and through. And the fact that the brew house here and Dean over there has made our craft presence part of it. I think all of those things together have made us what we are today.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think all generations of leadership, people here at the brewery have been committed to staying in Rochester, and I think part of the story of our survival is the brewery didn't try to bite off more than they could chew. It did what it did well, and the focus was always back into this brewery and not the belief in Rochester and this region of the country. Pennsylvania, a huge presence. We see people every day coming up from Pennsylvania and Ohio and Massachusetts, and it was coming out Prohibition. It was the era of regional breweries, and I think I want to say more so than a lot of other breweries, we never lost focus of that. The brewery stayed true, and you get that back. I mean, people love this brand. Working on this project, this is something I go into on the tours, but people were reaching out. People were calling in with stories they wanted to share and telling their memories, and it's a special relationship. And I think that's why Genesee, you said it off the bat, you think Rochester, you think Genesee, and I think that's it's special. I really think that's something unique and really special.
Well, and I think it's a testament too, where you find that many people through decades and decades that are coming in and they're picking up the mantle and they're taking it and they're saying, I believe in this product too, and I believe in this brand.
Everywhere I go, Sam is telling me about stories. I was here, I went here, I was at a concert, and everybody has a Genesee story. I mean,
Yeah.
Sam can tell you all these stories that he came and told me, but he's out at more breweries than most of us. And he gets a story everywhere. Somebody has some historical story. My uncle worked here, my cousin worked here, my grandfather worked here, and everybody's been here to the brew house. And once the brew house opened, that was really our advertising, right? I mean, we stopped the 70s advertising, and then once the brew house opened, it kind of reinvigorated it. And that's all the advertising we've ever done. And we don't want to waste time on advertising. We want to make great beer.
There you go. Well said.
Awesome. Because we don't want to keep you forever. I know it's already past, it's almost 6 o'clock your time, but I've got something I want to end on, and Steve might have something else, and you guys might have something else. But what would you want people to know about Genesee Brewery that they might not know?
Well, I think the consistency is something that they need to know, because we've evolved, but we haven't changed, if that makes sense. We are a different brewery than we ever were. And here at the Brew House, what Dean makes is completely different than whatever Genesee ever thought of making. But again, we have our standards. We haven't changed. We're still a cream ale, still a 12 horse. We have Jenny beer, we have Jenny light. All of those things are there, but we've evolved in that. Much to Dean's chagrin, we always have an IPA tap. We have the Hellas. We have our Scotch Ale, our chocolate Scotch. So we haven't changed, but we've certainly evolved.
Fantastic. Steve, you got anything else for these guys? Let them go home.
Other than just saying cheers, and let me get all of these cans here.
Yeah, get them all up there.
Get them all up here. Yeah,
Yeah.
all three. And just saying, guys, I could put them all in my hands. There you go.
Get 'em all in your hands. Guys, is there anything we didn't touch on, or anything else you guys want to hit on before we leave?
No, I don't think so.
Come to the Brew House.
Yeah, come to the Brew House.
Come
See
see
you.
us. All right. We'd love to hear your Jenny's story, because everyone's got one. And that's one of the most rewarding parts of our day, is when we talk to our guests and they come in and they tell us that they stole their first beer they stole from their uncle's garage fridge.
Yep.
And we hear that all the time, and we love it. So, yeah.
Well, thanks for the beer. Seriously, thanks for the beer, guys. Thanks for the shirt. Thanks for your time. And, we will definitely try to get you on again sometime, tell a few more stories, because this has been great. We appreciate it.
Yeah, and the fact that all of you wanted to be on too is really, it really means a lot to us. So thank you, and cheers to all. We can't, like Steve said, thank you for the beer and the shirts. We're gonna keep telling the Jenny story, man.
There you go.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you,
guys.
Yeah. Thanks for
Hey,
having
guys,
us.
cheers.
Thank you
I'm
very
Brewery
eyeballing
much.
Underground
that-
Podcast.
I'm eyeballing that 150th anniversry though, so I'm making sure
There you
you
go. It'll be like my birthday that year too.
Well, we'll celebrate both things at the same time. Cheers, guys. We appreciate you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Take care, guys.
Thanks. Cheers.
Cheers.